Have you ever walked into a meeting already knowing what decision you're supposed to make? Not because you've analyzed the facts or evaluated options, but because somewhere along the way you've absorbed what everybody else expects you to do. Maybe it's what worked before or what your boss would want, or maybe it just feels safe. After more than 25 years leading teams and making decisions that affected customers, employees, and millions of dollars in business outcomes, I've learned something important. Most leaders aren't overwhelmed by the number of decisions they make. They're overwhelmed by the invisible expectations they carry into every decision. Today, I want to talk about what I call the pressure trap. It's the hidden system of assumptions, stories, and expectations that quietly cloud judgment and push smart people into reactive decision making. One of the most dangerous phrases in business is, "This is how we've always done it." Every organization accumulates habits over time. A founder makes a decision and a respected leader creates a process. A team implements a procedure after surviving a crisis. Eventually, those decisions become standard operating procedure. The problem is that conditions, markets, customers, and technology change, but the old process remains the same. I've seen teams follow procedures that were created for problems that just don't exist any longer. Maybe they were effective at the time, questioning them feels uncomfortable, while following them feels safe. That's when leaders stop solving today's problems and start performing for yesterday's audience. Many decisions aren't made for the business, they're made for an imaginary audience. You know the voice. What will people think? Will I look inexperienced? What if I'm wrong? Now you're solving two problems at once: the actual business problem and the perception problem. I spent years doing this myself, working longer hours to anticipate every concern or managing everyone else's expectation. From the outside, it looked productive, but inside, it was exhausting. The work wasn't draining me, but the mental load was. Pressure rarely announces itself. Instead, the voice in your head sounds like this: a good leader always has the answer. Fast decisions are better decisions. Being busy means you're valuable. Being available means you're effective and responsive. Every problem deserves immediate attention. None of these assumptions seem unreasonable, but every one of them creates pressure. And pressure changes how you think. It decreases curiosity, and your brain wants to remove the uncertainty, so it looks for fast answers, not accuracy. And that's when judgment begins to degrade. One of the clearest signs you're caught in the pressure trap is when your calendar no longer reflects your priorities. It reflects everyone else's. Let me play this out for you. You start your day with a plan, then the emails arrive, the Slack messages, the meeting requests, the escalations, and suddenly you're spending your day reacting instead of leading. The issue here isn't workload, it's ownership. When external expectations dictate your schedule, you've shifted from proactive leadership to reactive leadership. So, how do you break that cycle? Create space between the pressure and the decision. When something feels urgent, ask, what are the facts? What assumptions am I making? Do I have evidence to support them? Is there any evidence that contradicts them? What happens if this waits until tomorrow? Who says this is urgent? What outcome am I trying to achieve? Those questions force your brain to stop reacting and start evaluating. One final exercise: audit your task list. For every item, ask, what happens if this slips by 24 hours? What happens if it slips by a week? Who's actually impacted? Is this business critical, or is it simply a business expectation? Maybe it's an expectation I put on myself. You may discover that some of the things creating the most pressure are producing the least value. The goal here isn't to eliminate pressure. Pressure is just part of leadership. The goal is to make sure pressure isn't making your decisions for you. The leaders who perform best under pressure create space between expectation and action. They challenge the assumptions, they separate facts from stories, and they protect their time to think. So I'll leave you with 3 questions. What expectations are you carrying that nobody actually asked you to carry? What pressure exists more in your story than in reality? And finally, what decision would become easier if you stop performing for that invisible audience in your head? Clarity under pressure isn't having all the answers. It's recognizing when pressure is trying to answer for you. Less noise, better thinking. This is clarity under pressure.